The left-wing gender insanity being pushed on our children is an act of child abuse. Very simple. Here's my plan to stop the chemical, physical, and emotional mutilation of our youth. On day one, I will revoke Joe Biden's cruel policies on so-called gender-affirming care. I will sign a new executive order instructing every federal agency to cease all programs that promote the concept of sex and gender transition. I will declare that any hospital or healthcare provider that participates in the chemical or physical mutilation of minor youth will no longer meet federal health and safety standards for Medicaid and Medicare.
So if I teach there's good morals, if I teach there's a standard, which my parents didn't teach me that, even though they were actually, pastors, they didn't teach me there's a standard, a moral standard. All right, these two videos are the most important videos people are saying of Trump, where he promise all this stuff, and just go watch it because there's some good policies. Like I say, I'm my dad, and the policies that I'm listening, and I don't know if you guys knew, but in California, Governor Newsom signed something that it's technically saying that if my kid has any or makes any comment about, hey, I would love to, how do I say this? Move to another body, quotation. They have the right to, or they will have the right in January 2025 to not let me know and remove me or remove my family or remove me and my wife from having any rights over my kid. I'm not gonna go into politics that much. I just want to show you what people say. These videos are the most important videos of Donald Trump.
The left-wing gender insanity being pushed on our children is an act of child abuse. Very simple. Here's my plan to stop the chemical, physical, and emotional mutilation of our youth. On day one, I will revoke Joe Biden's cruel policies on so-called gender-affirming care. Ridiculous. A process that includes giving kids puberty blockers, mutating their physical appearance, and ultimately performing surgery on minor children. Can you believe this? I will sign a new executive order instructing every federal agency to cease all programs that promote the concept of sex and gender transition at any age. I will then ask Congress to permanently stop federal taxpayer dollars from being used to promote or pay for these procedures and pass a law prohibiting child sexual mutilation in all 50 states. It'll go very quickly. I will declare that any hospital or healthcare provider that participates in the chemical or physical mutilation of minor youth will no longer meet federal health and safety standards for Medicaid and Medicare and will be terminated from the program immediately. Furthermore, I will support the creation of a private right of action for victims to sue doctors who have unforgivably performed these procedures on minor children. The Department of Justice will investigate Big Pharma and the big hospital networks to determine whether they have deliberately covered up horrific long-term side effects of sex transitions in order to get rich at the expense of vulnerable patients, in this case, very vulnerable. We will
Planned Parenthood. That's exactly what's happening. I call that out.
We'll also investigate whether Big Pharma or others have illegally marketed hormones and puberty blockers, which are in no way licensed or approved for this use. My Department of Education will inform states and school districts that if any teacher or school official suggests to a child that they could be trapped in the wrong body, they will be faced with severe consequences, including potential civil rights violations for sex discrimination and the elimination of federal funding. As part of our new credentialing body for teachers, we will promote positive education about the nuclear family, the roles of mothers and fathers, and celebrating rather than erasing the things that make men and women different and unique. I will ask Congress to pass a bill establishing that the only genders recognized by the United States government are male and female, and they are assigned at birth. The bill will also make clear that Title IX prohibits men from participating in women's sports, and we will protect the rights of parents from being forced to allow their minor child to assume a gender which is new and an identity without the parents' consent. The identity will not be new, and it will not be without parental consent.
Make that happen here in California.
No serious country should be telling its children that they were born with the wrong gender, a concept that was never heard of in all of human history. Nobody's ever heard of this, what's happening today. It was all when the radical left invented it just a few years ago. Under my leadership, this madness will end. Thank you very much.
I mean, it's not a political party. Again, people watching and listening to me. It's not a political party. It's an establishment by God, not by Trump, not by the Republicans, not by Democrats, not by anybody. The standard of God overrides everything we have in here on earth. So he made man and female, falling asleep. Male and female, he created, not third gender, fourth gender, fifth gender options. He gave us two. He didn't give us options. And I'm not saying we should actually look for options. We should actually look for what God is actually calling us to be. God, there's exceptions, and there's actually an explanation for that. At some point, I'm going to make a video about it because I think there has to be an explanation for all this stuff. Because God did not intend it or did not create something like that, but it was because of the sin of man. There's exceptions. Let me just put it that way. Can God work in your exception? Of course he can. You got to let him work in your life. You got to let him work the way you are. You got to let him work. But we don't want to make God the center of our life. We want to reject God and we want to put it on the side. Again, it's not a political party, but again, God will use, just like he used Biden in these 4 years, for the church to come up and say this is not okay about gender equality and stuff like that. We all have freedom and free will and free speech. And I'm using mine right now. But I got to tell you straight up, it's not okay when you or the government has to tell me what to do with my kids, especially when I'm trying to raise godly daughters who are... I want them. It's my desire, and I'm following Proverbs 29:17 that I have to discipline my kids in order for me to enjoy peace. And that actually is translated to what it says also Proverbs that, train a child when he's young, and then actually he will not depart from the word of God. So if I teach there's good morals, if I teach there's a standard, which my parents didn't teach me that, even though they were actually, pastors, they didn't teach me there's a standard, a moral standard. They didn't teach me that it was actually why I believe this way, why I believe that God is the God of the universe, why I believe and why we say that God created everything. Now I happen to go to Bible college, and I happen to know all this stuff that I didn't know to defend my faith, to say this is why God is the way he is. He's good in nature, but he's just. So he's going to let consequences probably fall on you. It is a consequence. Everybody has consequences. Every action has consequences, either good or bad. But let's continue with the second video.
Here's my plan to dismantle the deep state and reclaim our democracy. First, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth. This is how I will shatter the deep state and restore government that is controlled by the people and for the people. Here's my plan to dismantle the deep state and reclaim our democracy from Washington corruption once and for all, and corruption it is. First, I will immediately reissue my 2020 executive order restoring the president's authority to remove rogue bureaucrats, and I will wield that power very aggressively. Second, we will clean out all of the corrupt actors in our national security and intelligence apparatus, and there are plenty of them. The departments and agencies that have been weaponized will be completely overhauled so that faceless bureaucrats will never again be able to target and persecute conservatives, Christians, or the left's political enemies, which they're doing now at a level that nobody can believe even possible. Third, we will totally reform FISA courts, which are so corrupt that the judges seemingly do not care when they are lied to in warrant applications. So many judges have seen so many applications that they know were wrong, or at least they must have known. They do nothing about it. They're lied to. Fourth, to expose the hoaxes and abuses of power that have been tearing our country apart, we will establish a Truth and Reconciliation Commission to declassify and publish all documents on deep state spying, censorship, and corruption, and there are plenty of them. Fifth, we will launch a major crackdown on government leakers who collude with the fake news to deliberately weave false narratives and to subvert our government and our democracy. When possible, we will press criminal charges. Sixth, we will make every Inspector General's office independent and physically separated from the departments they oversee, so they do not become the protectors of the deep state. Seventh, I will ask Congress to establish an independent auditing system to continually monitor our intelligence agencies to ensure they are not spying on our citizens or running disinformation campaigns against.
That's a good thing for everybody. That's safety for everybody. It doesn't matter who you vote for, is a good thing. Safety, digital safety, it's going to be a hit. We saw that like maybe this year, what was it, like maybe August, September, when like all our phones, so every single iPhone was hacked. Like, this is a big deal. This is a big deal. Your information and stuff like that is a big deal. I didn't see this. Probably I'm ignorant. Just forgive me. But I didn't see this coming from Kamala. But at the same time, like, we say, God spared Trump's life for such a time as this. Well, according to Romans 13, God allows presidents, rulers, kings, and we're gonna go see it really quick. But don't judge. I just want to tell you something that is not supporting Trump, supporting Kamala, supporting a political party. I am pro-life. I am pro-God. God is the one who rules the nations, and I'm just gonna go see it. But at the end of the day, if you have a comment, just save it. Save it. I'm gonna ignore it, or you're gonna be on timeout. All right.
Against the American people, or that they are not spying on someone's campaign like they spied on my campaign. Eighth, we will continue the effort launched by the Trump administration to move parts of the sprawling federal bureaucracy to new locations outside the Washington swamp. Just as I moved the Bureau of Land Management to Colorado, as many as 100,000 government positions could be moved out, and I mean immediately, of Washington to places filled with patriots who love America, and they really do love America. Ninth, I will work to ban federal bureaucrats from taking jobs at the companies they deal with and that they regulate. So they deal with these companies and they regulate these companies, and then they want to take jobs from these companies. It doesn't work that way. Such a public display cannot go on, and it's taking place all the time, like with Big Pharma. Finally, I will push a constitutional amendment to impose term limits on members of Congress. This is how I will shatter the deep state and restore government that is controlled by the people and for the people. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I'm just going to say this really quick. Christian nationalism is a sin. If you think high of your nationalism higher than God, then you have a problem. Because, what if Trump didn't win? What have you been doing? Like, what are you gonna do, or what would you do if Trump would have just not be the president of the United States? What did that look like in your life? Because I see a lot of people losing it for what happened, losing it and throwing tantrums on TikTok, crazy things on TikTok, because Kamala did not win, and saying, hey, women's lost their rights. I have daughters. They have rights. I have a wife. I have a mom. They did not lose their rights. And I can tell you that because, if you're talking about the procreation of kids, you still have your rights. You can procreate kids at any time if you want. The problem is that you have consequences and you want to delete the consequences. That's your problem. It's not that you don't actually, the government's not telling you to procreate. In other words, like, that they ban up, they going to, this political party is pro-life. As far as I know, Trump has some limits right here. Like, he's not pro-life all 100%, but like I said, again, Christian nationalism, it's a sin. It's not okay. And let me just put it this way, because I'm going to say it with all true honesty. I have friends who speak more about Trump than what actually their faith. They speak more about Trump than about their faith on social media. They just post pictures about, food and all this stuff. But when it comes to, talking about Trump, oh my goodness, like they can't stop talking about it. They know everything about it. But I never seen him say, hey, God did this, so pray with me, or hey, I'm here to pray for you, or God actually requires this of us, stuff like that. Something that it tells me, oh, you know what, this guy is Christian. Or you know what, like, I don't know, something. But I never seen him going crazy on the Bible. all not true honest. I'm super honest right now. Is that okay? Sometimes for some people, it's not okay. And it is what it is. Okay, anyway, I'm just going to show you this. I'm going to finish this video with the Bible. Oh, sorry, my bad. The Bible. Okay. Romans 13, everyone must submit to governing authorities, for all authority comes from God, and those in positions of authority have been placed there by God. How, you're going to say, well, God placed them over there. How? Well, by our free will. He allows free will. He allows you to love anyone. That's a free will. That's a free will action. Love someone. I cannot make my wife, I couldn't make my wife to love me. She loved me, or she loves me because she chooses to love me. She chose to love me, and hey, listen, I love my wife with all my heart. I choose to love my wife. But the fact that actually my wife loves me, it's an honor, to be honest with you. So, and that's why I want to make sure you understand that we have free will. You say we don't have free will. Of course you do. Love is there. Love is optional. You can love something or someone, and sometimes loving that person can become your God, or actually even the fact of your gender type of style can become a God. Number 2, so anyone who rebels against authority is rebelling against what God has instituted, and they will be punished. Wow. I'm not saying that you have to, okay, let me just be honest with you. If you hate Trump because the way he is, you are saying, I hate God. Not because he's a God-sent person, is because God allowed Trump to be to rule for the next 4 years. Let me just put it that way. Or be in the presidency for the next 4 years. Number 3 says, for the authorities do not strike fear in people who are doing right, but in those who are doing wrong. Would you like to live without fear of the authorities? Do what is right, and they will honor you. Number 4, the authorities are God's servants and sent for you for your good. But if you are doing wrong, of course you should be afraid, for they have the power to punish you. They are God's servants sent for the very purpose of punishing those who do what is wrong. So they are here to correct any misbehaved person or something that is going above the law. You need a limit. You cannot go after the red light. If you break the law, you're going to get a ticket and you can get into an accident, or you can actually make it even worse. You cannot even just, you can lose your right to drive. Okay? You do not drive drunk. Why? Because if you get caught, first of all, you're going to lose your license for, I don't remember how long, but I think it's for a year. And also, you cannot get it. You have to go to these programs where you have to go to classes every single day of the week. Woof, that's horrible. I've seen it. I've never done it, but I had a friend who actually, I used to give him rides to this place where he used to go. It was like at school, and it was like in the afternoon. I used to give him some rides when I could, and he lost his driver's license for a year. So, hey, you got to go through that. Pay your taxes too. Woo. For these same reasons, for government workers need to be paid. They are serving God in what they do. Even though they don't want to recognize that they're serving God, they are serving God. So give to everyone who you owe them. Pay your taxes and government fees to those who collect them, and give respect and honor to those who are in authority. We lost respect for the authority, which is, in this case, if you are in the street, there we see a lot of videos, TikTok videos, where young people has lost respect for the cops, police, officers, you name it, and they just go against them as soon as they stop him. They know they broke the law. I'll be honest with you, and I'm gonna be truly open with you. I got stopped one time because I didn't have my tag of, I paid my, what is it called? I pay the, my head. Anyway, so it was nothing bad. It just, the cop reminded me, hey, you got to get your tax and your license plate. And I'm sorry, guys. It's been a long day. Registration. There you go. I didn't pay my registration on time, so I didn't get my stickers on time before the month it was directed. So a cop stopped me. He saw that actually I paid my tax. They were on his way to my house, but he's like, hey, you got to make sure you don't do this. I had to get my license, my driver's license, so he can see who I was, and I just got to respect him. Did I get punished? Not really. He let me go with a warning, which is amazing. I was forgiven for that, but it's my fault for not following the law. But other than that, that was the only way that I've been stopped here or in Mexico. So you gotta do what you gotta do. Just follow the law. Anyway, you guys can read, keep on reading Romans 13. I just want to show you exactly what it is, what the Bible says about respecting our authorities. Now, that doesn't mean that there's corrupt authorities and, there's always something that it's going to stop us, right? To say, hey, you know what, this is corrupt, which we've seen so many times, we've seen so many times in history over the years of different governments, you name it. So it is what it is. But at the same time, I want to make sure you understand, again, there's wicked authorities, and that goes to the three type of institutions that got created. So, for example, again, church, home, and the government. So if one of these is telling me, and this is how you can actually say, I'm not going to obey something that it goes against God. If it goes against God, then we have a problem. Because God is telling me to love my neighbor. Now you telling me to hate my neighbor? Or if the law requires for me to go 65 miles an hour, but some corrupt, just an example, not that it's going to happen, but some corrupt person in the government say, oh, you can go 75. No, I can't do that. There's a sign out there on the street. There's a sign on the road that says 65 miles an hour. If I go over, then you got to get punished. But if they say, hey, you know what? The deletion of babies, it's okay. It's good. God's command or commands says it's not. So I am going to obey what God has commanded in the Bible, said in the Bible. If this is a problem for the government, then we have a problem. Personally, that's a problem. So that's why a lot of people, I just say it multiple times, they lost their common sense. Common sense cannot be taught. You learn common sense if you never actually experience common sense. So then we have a problem. That's gonna be a very extended topic, and that's why we have laws, because of people with no common sense. All right. Anyway, bye. Subscribe, hit the notification button, hit the like button. And if you have someone who you love, we have multiple videos right here. So I don't know. I think YouTube is going to tell you which one is the next one, but it's going to recommend that video because you watched this one. All right. We'll see you next time. Bye. God bless you. And be in peace. Be in peace. Bye.